Fellow FPL managers, today we are looking at the ultimate free hit team for game week 34. Let's get right into it. Now, when you're making a free hit team, you want to pick players from teams that are playing against the bottom 3 teams in the league, because the bottom 3 teams in the league, they aren't just bad, they are diabolical. So we really want to be targeting those guys. And thankfully, there's teams playing against the bottom 3 with some really good FPL assets. So we're going to be making a tasty looking team. In fact, going without a free hit or a wild card in this game week will probably end your season, guys. I'm not going to lie. And unless you're an insane planner and really good at the game, you're in trouble. As of when I'm recording this, the team costs 100.1 million, so it's quite cheap. Anyone can afford it, but price rises could happen between now and then. But I'm pretty sure anyone can afford this team. Or if not, you can just make the bench cheaper, real easy. In defense, there's one of 2 things we can do. What I've done here, I've lined up with 4 different players, so 4 chances for a clean sheet. The only other defense I would consider having is a triple up on the Fulham defense, because that's pretty risky. It's a pretty ballsy move, but it's one that could pay off. You know, you probably got like a 50% chance of keeping a clean sheet. And if they do, then you're in dreamland. And let's be honest, you're not going to be wanting Fulham attackers in your team, so you're not going to be taking up other slots. Whereas Liverpool, Newcastle and Wolves, you kind of want some attackers from those teams, so you can't triple up on those in defence. But in this team, me personally, I don't like putting all of my eggs in one basket unless it's on the Arsenal defence. So this is how we're looking. Alisson home to Tottenham, easy game. Livramento home to Ipswich, easy game. You know, I don't need to go on. You guys get the idea. There's also goal involvement potential from a lot of these defenders too. They're fullbacks or wingbacks. Aït-Nouri and Robinson especially, so many goal involvements recently, and Livramento is on some good form. The only thing you really could change about this is maybe the goalkeeper. I think Robinson, Aït-Nouri and Livramento are pretty locked in. I mean, you could choose Fabian Schär because he has just scored a couple goals in recent times. You know, he could be a good goal threat, but realistically, if a centre-back scores 2 goals in his last 2 games, what's the odds he scores in 3 games in a row? You know, it's just not going to happen, is it, guys? We've got to be realistic. So yeah, defenders all irreplaceable, but the goalkeeper could be switched to someone like Leno. It's a 50-50 decision. I'm not on free hit, but if I was, that would probably be the toughest call, whether I should go for Leno or Alisson. Going into the midfield 4 now, guys, we do have a double up on the Liverpool attack with Salah being our captain. You know, we're not being silly. We're not messing around. We don't need to take a risk because on a free hit, you've got so many good players, it's not essential. If you did want to go differential captain, we'll talk about it in a bit towards the end of the video. Along with Salah, we got Luis Diaz, who I think is the most nailed Liverpool attacker aside from Salah. You could switch to maybe Jota. Gakpo and Nunes, definitely you wouldn't go for, but they're forwards anyway. And playing home to Tottenham is a green fixture. I know Tottenham are technically one of the big 6 clubs, but they're really bad in the league at the moment, and they've got a big injury problem. And with only the league to focus on, rotation for Luis Diaz is not going to be an issue. He's not going to be saved for a more important game, because there are no more important games for Liverpool this season. They've been knocked out of the Champions League and the FA Cup. As for the other 2 midfielders in this midfield, it's going to raise some eyebrows. It's going to raise some questions. First off, I think Harvey Barnes is the most nailed Newcastle winger, even though for the majority of this season, he's been the backup behind Gordon and behind Murphy. But Gordon's been back for a few game weeks now, and he started the last few games on the bench, and he could be getting eased back in, fair enough. But what I noticed about the last game week where they played against Aston Villa, when Gordon got subbed on, he didn't get subbed on for Barnes, he got subbed on for Jacob Murphy, even though Gordon and Barnes have been the guys sharing that left side for most of the season, which leads me to believe that Barnes is actually the most nailed winger, and Gordon could be coming back from injury starting the next game. But I could be wrong. With the form Jacob Murphy is on as well, Gordon could have lost his place in the starting 11. So you could switch Barnes to maybe Murphy or Gordon if you feel safer that way, and you know, news comes out later on that Barnes isn't the most reliable Newcastle winger, we can switch it up. But for now, I think Barnes is on the best form and he's the most reliable for minutes. Then you got Cole Palmer. Now, I fully understand if a lot of you guys don't want to back Cole Palmer. I get it. He is not the best option. And to be honest, guys, this 4th midfielder spot, there's lots of okay options, but no real amazing ones. Like, if you didn't want to go for Palmer and you didn't want to back him, that's fair enough. The next best option I could recommend is Kluivert, maybe Semenyo. But even then, those guys, they're not sensational. But Palmer hasn't got a double-digit haul since game week 21. That is awful for a 10.6 million player. And, you know, if we're considering price, Palmer is not the guy you want to go for, but considering how cheap this draft is, going for Palmer is kind of risk-free. He's a good player you want as a differential because his ownership is quite low now. He is considered a differential. So for me, given his history, you know, with big hauls and being the key player for Chelsea, I feel like if they play well, he's guaranteed to be involved in the points, even though that's not really been the case in the past few weeks. I still want to back him. But yeah, if you disagree, Kluivert, Semenyo, two great alternatives. I wouldn't back someone like Mbumo, even though he did just get 18 points. He's playing a tough fixture. So now we go into the front three, and this one kind of picks itself, to be honest, guys. Isak playing home to Ipswich, absolute no-brainer. Cunha playing home to Leicester, absolute no-brainer as long as his start is guaranteed. He didn't start the first game back after his suspension, but I assume he's just getting eased back in. If there is any doubt around Cunha not starting, then you can just go for Strand Larsen instead. You know, he's on great form playing striker, so there's no reason you can't pick him instead of Cunha. But, you know, throughout the entirety of this season, Cunha has been better than Larsen when Cunha's been on the pitch, so it makes sense to go with Cunha. In fact, I would not be surprised if some of you backed a double Wolves attack with Strand Larsen and Cunha instead of going for Evan Nilsson. Me personally, it's like I said, I don't like all my eggs in one basket, and I feel like going for a double Wolves attack, considering they're one of the worst teams in the league, it's not really the best idea. And you've got Evan Nilsson, who is actually first for expected goals in the last 5 game weeks per 90. And with that sort of information, you know, you're picking a guy with the most expected goals, the most big chances. He's also playing against a really shaky defence in Man United. They make a lot of mistakes at the back, and they're by no means a good team in the Premier League. They're good in Europe, but they ain't that good in the league. So Evan Nilsson with the most expected goals and the most big chances in recent times, it seems like a no-brainer for me. But I understand, you know, on paper, he may not be an immediate pick for you guys. But I'm telling you, I think he is. I think he's one of the most important players in this team, someone you shouldn't go without. As for a more detailed look into captaincy, I think it's in between 3 guys. Me personally, I think it's Salah, Isak and Evan Nilsson. Now, I don't know which one 100% to pick because it's early days into the game week. But on recent form, best to worst, Evan Nilsson is first, then Isak second, then Salah third. On top of that, Salah probably has the toughest fixture here, so it doesn't really make much sense to go with Salah, technically speaking, because he's technically on paper the worst option on recent form. But when you look at the bookies odds, Salah is the one who is most likely to get a goal involvement, which seems ridiculous considering his bad form at the moment, but he's still more likely to get a goal involvement than he is to blank, which to me just makes him the obvious captaincy choice because the entire game is probably going to captain him since Evan Nilsson is quite risky and Isak is on bad form at the moment. Salah is just going to be the go-to option for so many people. So I'd say unless you're really chasing rank, don't overthink it, just go for Salah. But if you really, really want to go differential, don't go Isak, go Evan Nilsson instead. You know, take that big leap, take that risk. Playing it on Isak isn't really a risk. It's, you know, it's just a slightly less safe option. So yeah, I would say either go for Salah if you want to play it safe, or Evan Nilsson if you've got the big balls, if you want to take a risk. Anyway, guys, that's the team. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. Let me know what you would change with any player on the pitch. And yeah, guys, I will see you all in the next video.